One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
There's something magical about how many musicians owe their careers to being on MTV. There's so many famous artists that got their jumping off point because a video of theirs was being played on the channel. From Madonna to Nirvana and many more in between and thereafter.
Before the fans, before the fame, they all journeyed to one nation with nothing but their boots and a dream.
So many examples are out there where an act achieved some level of success all because they made a very memorable music video that got onto the channel. Like, how else would something like Wall of Voodoo's Mexican Radio have gotten an airplane if it wasn't for its music video? As such, today's music video time is gonna put the spotlight on a band that, for all intents and purposes, should not have been popular on MTV, or had gotten any real airplay on the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to what I believe to be MTV's most unexpected stars. The Dead Milkmen. Real attention-drawing name, first of all. And in 1989, this punk rock band would end up becoming stars on MTV with a little ditty they called Punk Rock Girl.
Punk rock girl, please look at me. What do you see?
They managed to go from being local celebrities to having appearances on places like 120 Minutes, and yet their time at the spotlight would not last. But damn it, did they not try to make it the most memorable. I'll try my best to explain the trajectory of how this band managed to get such fanfare. So for this video, get some Mojo Nixon playing and make some hot tea.
We only have it iced.
Because it is once again music video time, and our history lesson centers on the Dead Milkmen and their surprise hit, Punk Rock Girl.
Travel around the world, just you and me, punk rock girl.
So, who are the Dead Milkmen?
There's ever been a band which fits its name, it's the Dead Milkmen.
Based out in Philadelphia, this band has an interesting history behind their formation. Because while they started out making music in 1983, they first originated as a made-up band based on one member's imagination. The band was first conjured up back in Chester County, Pennsylvania, from the mind of Joe Gennaro. He and a friend created a backstory of the band, recording homemade cassettes to keep track of their characters. Basically, they made a whole mythology for this band. The first track would be made on New Year's Eve 1979 called So Long 70s. Rodney Lindemann would join the duo, and in February 1980, Folk Songs of the 80s would be made. Eventually, the band would slowly become a reality when Gennaro went to Temple University and met future bassist Dave Schultheis and drummer Dean Sabatino. Gennaro would be the guitarist, and the three would rehearse together under the Dead Milkmen name. Once Lindemann joined as the lead vocalist, the band would officially be established in 1983. As well, they would also have stage names: Rodney Anonymous, Joe Jack Talcum, Dave Blood, and Dean Clean. Playing around in the Philadelphia punk rock circuit, they would establish a place in U.S. college radio thanks to their first LP in 1985 called Big Lizard in My Backyard.
Milkmen's first album, Big Lizard in My Backyard, is getting a lot of play on alternative stations.
This would be released by Restless Records, a subsidiary of Enigma Records. On that album would be Bitchin' Camaro.
Bitchin' Camaro, bitchin' Camaro, I ran over my neighbor.
While not a single off Big Lizard, it would become a hit on college radio, officially establishing the rock band and setting the groundwork for their popularity. Their second album, Eat Your Paisley, would have the track The Thing That Only Eats Hippies on it, which would be their first song with a music video.
And ate a couple of hippies and they tasted just fine.
You could really tell they had a future ahead.
Following the daddy's gets its kick.
Now we're going to pray. Now we're going to call on divine power. Get your motor running.
By 1987, they were really establishing a cult following in the United States. Jim Whalewander, for example, was a rookie for the baseball team, the Detroit Tigers, in '87. He was a vocal fan for the band, and he actually invited the band to Tiger Stadium, where he would hit his only home run in his career. We'll have to mention that Whalewander has said his support for the Milkmen ruined his career with the Tigers, but what can you do? Also in '87, their third album, Bucky Fellini, would hit the Billboard 200 charts, peaking at 163 and be on the charts for 7 weeks. These were definite signs that this band was getting commercially successful, but they weren't quite there just yet. Cut to 1988 with their fourth album, Beelzebubba, and their seventh track on the album would be Punk Rock Girl. How this song came about was several years before, around the time Gennaro had graduated from Temple University. He was in the university's library when a musician friend talked to him about writing a punk rock inflected nursery rhyme. This intrigued Gennaro, and he used the idea as a basis for Punk Rock Girl. He wrote most of the song, but would get Dave Blood to help with the rhyme as he was running out of words that rhymed with girls. And the bassist was the one that came up with using Minnie Pearl as a rhyme, as well as being the one who suggested using Bo in the song. The two were uncertain it would fit with the rest of the Dead Milkmen's catalog, and instead they performed Punk Rock Girl under their side project Ornamental Wigwam. And after receiving positive responses from audiences, they decided to make it an actual Milkmen song. This of course would be years later, but that's where we're at now. And it seems like they had a lot of faith with the song, as it would end up becoming the lead single off Beelzebubba and be given a music video. Let's talk about the music video itself. This would be their third concept video under their belt. Because the Dead Milkmen were a Philly-based band, the video was shot in Philadelphia. Funny thing about that observation is that, despite being from Philadelphia, they recorded the song in Arlen Studios in Austin, Texas. Part of the shoot would be at Zipperhead, which is a clothing store in Philadelphia's South Street. This has been described as a popular counterculture store, and just looking at it, I wish we had a shot of the exterior in the music video, because this is a real head turner of a store. Another area they shot the video, which included them performing the song in, was the Eastern State Penitentiary, also in Philadelphia. It was closed down in 1971, so what better place to shoot a video than an abandoned prison?
They said that they were thinking about tearing it down. At one point they were thinking about turning it into condos, which I would have moved in immediately. Would have been the best place to live.
They might have also filmed inside the Philly Pizza Company, but that has been long closed down. In fact, Zipperhead closed in 2005. A bit disappointing to learn, but nothing lasts forever. To say the budget was cheap is an understatement. The budget for this video was said to have been $10,000. This was said by an Enigma Senior VP GM, Ralph King, during a panel for the 11th annual Billboard Music Video Conference / American Video Conference, where they were talking about music video budgets. Specifically, how music video budgets would be between $50,000 to $75,000. So gauging the fact that Punk Rock Girl got MTV airplay shows how much of a big success this music video ended up being. The director of the video was Adam Bernstein, with Lee Feldman as the producer. Feldman has only 6 credits to her name on IMDb, which includes being a producer to Metallica's The Unforgiven. Bernstein, meanwhile, has had a prolific career as a director. In terms of music videos, he had previously directed music videos for They Might Be Giants. After Punk Rock Girl, Bernstein would be behind the camera for Love Shack by the B-52s, Hey Ladies by the Beastie Boys, and Sir Mix-a-Lot's Baby Got Back.
I like 'em round and big.
A really impressive resume, but that's not even getting into his work in television. He also directed for a number of famous television shows and their pilots. Examples include The Adventures of Pete and Pete, Oz, Fargo, Homicide: Life on the Street, Strangers with Candy, Scrubs, Nurse Jackie, Orange is the New Black, and most notably, 30 Rock, to which he won an Emmy for. He also directed the It's Pat movie.
What the hell are you anyway?
Oh, I know what you're thinking. Am I a Crip or am I a Blood?
No.
Am I implying that directing Punk Rock Girl gave him a lucrative career? Possibly. Probably. Billboard announced that the video was filmed in November 1988. 2 months later, the music video would end up getting onto MTV. However, this wouldn't be the first time the Milkmen appeared on the channel. MTV's alternative music program, 120 Minutes, was going strong on the channel, introducing the world to lesser-known artists, which include the Milkmen. Their first appearance on the show was during the September 27th, 1987 episode. The music video The Big Time Operator was playing that night. Also neat seeing their video played by Mojo Nixon, since they reference him in Punk Rock Girl.
Ask for Mojo Nixon, they said he don't work here.
The December 13th, 1987 installment of 120 Minutes would have them playing Big Time Operator again, but also a review of the band. Possibly reviewing Bucky Fellini? I honestly couldn't find a rip of this episode. But the Milkmen were on the channel at this time, albeit through 120 Minutes. Little did anyone expect that they would get a wider audience in the future. January 1989, Punk Rock Girl would make its first official appearance on MTV. While 120 Minutes was an important stepping stone for some artists to eventually get their videos on the channel's main rotation, they were also on the request countdown show Dial MTV. Like its more famous successor Total Request Live, Dial MTV had viewers call the 1-800 number to request a video to play. These would be counted as votes, and the most requested music videos would be part of the countdown. I bring this up as Punk Rock Girl did manage to be the most voted music video for Dial MTV, a very great achievement for this cult band. The thing is, I don't know when they won. My best guess of the timeline is that the video played on 120 minutes, and then it got voted to become the most requested music video on Dial MTV. Seems pretty straightforward, right? It must have been that popular in 120 minutes for this to happen. Well, according to the 120 Minutes archive, Punk Rock Girl was only played on 120 Minutes twice in 1989. The first being in a January episode, and the second being in April. Their second appearance would be well after they've been on MTV's main rotation. And yes, like I said, the Dead Milkmen did have a dedicated following around this time, but I don't think there was enough people to have requested it to the point of winning, which is why, while looking for sources for the music video, I found a pretty interesting anecdote from a 2015 issue of Popular Science, of all places. On page 8 of their April 2015 issue, they had the blurb dedicated to a story they christened as the Worst Job Award. It reads as follows. Ben Coates of Ventura, California wrote, "When I was 27, I got a job at a record company dialing Total Request Live on MTV, pressing redial over and over again all day long to request its big song. If you got through without a busy signal, which happened 2 to 3 times a week, you had to request the song Punk Rock Girl by the Dead Milkmen and keep redialing. The first time I got through, I gave an enthusiastic request. Then, hours later, the guy next to me gave a monotone Punk Rock Girl, Dead Milkmen. I quit after a week." So that's interesting. Can I say for sure that Restless Records might have rigged the system in getting Punk Rock Girl to win Dial MTV by employing people to dial and vote for hours on end? Not 100%. It is a story someone sent to a magazine. But it's so specific and there's a name attached to it that I can't help but think that this makes complete sense. Whether it was because they won Dial MTV or the channel execs liked the music video enough to approve it, Punk Rock Girl would make its rotation debut during the week of February 4th, 1989. By next week, February 11th, the video would be playing on Night Track and the all-new Record Guide, and week by week, it would slowly be shown on the channel more frequently. The second week was listed as a breakout video on MTV that week, and by March 4th, the video would get heavy rotation on the channel. Officially, the Dead Milkmen had become MTV stars, which baffled the members of the band. Dean Clean mentioned how surprised they were that they got picked up, hypothesizing that the channel was only trying to get the college crowd to watch the channel, which is another sound theory, but again, whatever the real reason for them getting on MTV was, things got pretty wild fast for everyone. So what is it about the music video that resulted in it getting massive amounts of airplay? Well, if I had to guess, it might have to do with how simple it is. The music video follows the song's story.
Saturday I took a walk to Zipperhead.
A guy walks to Zipperhead and seeing a girl in the punk rock variety. From there, they go on adventures like eating pizza, meeting the girl's family, going to a mall, and stealing a car.
Said how much you paid for this, said nothing, man, it's stolen. Punk rock girl.
The usual things you do in Philly. I should know, I've been to a couple baseball games. You also see the Milkmen perform the song inside the abandoned penitentiary, though in a unique fashion you see Rodney Anonymous just reading the newspaper.
On such a winter's day.
Also, there are parts where they just keep the bloopers in.
Tapped her on the shoulder and said, "Do you have a bell?"
But besides that, it's a pretty straightforward music video. You're just watching a punk video.
Punk rock girl.
But I think that's what really makes it work and how unserious it is. It's goofy.
Her father took one look at me and he began to squeal.
With only a $10,000 budget, they make the most out of their Philly surroundings and they're having a fun time making a music video.
They said he don't work here.
Which is a good thing because this is a comedy song as well. It's supposed to be fun. Outside of Weird Al Yankovic, you didn't really see that many people make comedy songs and it ending up on MTV. Sure, Blotto's I Want to Be a Lifeguard was one of the first music videos shown on MTV, but who brings up Blotto? We are far and away from Tenacious D or Flair of the Conchords making the scene, so what the Dead Milkmen offered with Punk Rock Girl was a breath of fresh air for 1989. Speaking of the song, Punk Rock Girl is such an insane track to listen to.
And someone played a Beach Boys song on the jukebox. It was California Dreamin'.
Not in terms of subject matter, there are just parts where there is a total disregard for lyric structure.
And security guards trailed us to a record shop.
Steve Huey of AllMusic gives a great description about the vocals. Spoken more than sung, stream of consciousness, lyrical rants. I like that description a lot, but I also think that the rants add to the charm of Punk Rock Girl.
We went to the Philly Pizza Company and ordered some hot tea. The waitress said, well, no, we only have it iced.
we are given a perspective of a guy who wants to be with a punk rock girl, and you know he is not part of the punk archetype. If anything, he doesn't want to be involved with the punk scene, but rather just want to date someone that is a punk rocker. The music video makes it more of a point when you see how he looks. But there has to be some relatability for some people wanting to date someone out of the conventional norms, whether they be punk girls, goth girls, Manic Pixie Dream girls. A tale as old as time, I guess. So overall, I do like this song. The instrumentals especially. Though I will say I have a thing with how Joe Jack Talcum sounds in the song. Not saying it's bad when I hear it, it makes me think of Eddie Deason singing. You know, the voice of Mandark from Dexter's Laboratory.
Excuse me, sir, but may I please relocate myself to a closer location to the board so I can achieve the optimum effect of your education?
Let's travel around the world, just you and me.
This isn't a swipe at Gennaro. I think his singing is unique, and Punk Rock Girl adds to how much of a nerd the character is. Also, there's a great detail in the video where they go to a record store and they are folding a copy of Poison's Look What the Cat Dragged In. Poison was also a band signed under Enigma at the time. Mojo Nixon 2, which makes me think how unintentional this entire video is advertising Enigma. Good thing the video was a runaway success. Coupled with their breakout on MTV, it did translate to sales. Beelzebubba managed to hit Billboard's Top 200, peaking at 101 for the week of April 22nd, 1989. The song, meanwhile, peaked at number 11 on Billboard's Modern Rock track charts. Should point out, however, that the video was already on the charts for 4 weeks, entering it in January. In fact, the same week the music video debuted on MTV, it reached its peak, so I wouldn't say it being played on the channel is the reason they charted, but rather, them being on MTV gave them longevity. Beelzebubba is their longest staying album on the charts, being on the 200 charts for 23 weeks, much longer than Bucky Fellini's 7-week excursion.
Hello and welcome to 120 Minutes. I'm Kevin Seal, and please meet my co-host for tonight, the Dead Milkmen.
The unexpected success of the music video did result in the band making appearances on MTV, including being guests on the April 9th episode of 120 Minutes. During that episode, they conducted irreverent interviews.
I'm Edie Brickell, and I sing, and my favorite color is kind of like religion, you know, being the smile on a dog. It's just that way.
Hi, my name is Lyndon LaRouche, and my favorite color is clear, man.
My name is Dean Clean, and I play the drums.
And even sang songs.
And now, the Dead Milkmen with Save the Rainforest, parentheses, on 120 Minutes.
We don't know what we're doing here. Trapped inside of your TV. Forced to host 120 Minutes. For some free publicity.
I don't think the song is about the rainforest.
There's no Debbie Gibson or Tiffany, but you might have to sit through some Morrissey.
He hurt me with that remark. Did I mention that I cried?
Another highlight was them playing Punk Rock Girl on Club MTV. This was MTV's answer to American Bandstand, where you get to see the artists perform.
In 1985, they've been favorites of the college radio stations, and they've always been at the top of the charts on the college radio stations. But hey, they're finally getting into the mainstream. Crazy, they're wild, they're fun, and they got a hit. Here's the Dead Milkmen on Club MTV.
In the case of the Dead Milkmen, however, they were told that they would have to perform the song pre-recorded. The Milkmen wanted to perform live, and in exchange for lip-syncing their performance, they listed demands for what their set would have on stage. Dean Clean explained in an interview with KQED in 2015, "I had a humongous drum kit, which is not my kit, and I didn't pretend to play the song. And Rodney played a tuba because he didn't even sing on the song. Their bassist also got a large cardboard box that he scrolled bass amp on, and he later smashed the bass into." Sabatino mentions how the performance was hilarious. And it is. But there's something that they do that I think is a point of contention as to whether or not this ruined the Milkmen's relation with MTV. After the song was done, Club MTV's host, Downtown Julie Brown, was interviewing the band, at which she started getting handcuffed by Linderman.
All the guys in the band, okay? I'm not going to stop this, stop.
This doesn't work.
I don't want handcuffs on.
This doesn't
Listen,
work.
guys, how did you make it here?
This doesn't work.
Oh, go home. Put some more music on.
After a bit, it fades out. When it comes back to the show, everyone seems to be making light of the handcuffing.
Well, guys, no handcuffs this time, right? No handcuffs at all. Oh, you've got the handcuffs.
But in actuality, Julie Brown hated this moment. There's a brief mention of this in the I Want My MTV book. Producer Lou Stellato explained it. For some reason, they booked the Dead Milkmen to perform on Club MTV, and the band didn't take their performance seriously. During the interview, they handcuffed Julie, either to a mic stand or to one of the guys in the band. She tried to keep it together, but it got ugly, and when we faded, she ran back to the dressing room. They were cracking up in the truck as it was happening. She was on the stairwell at the Palladium with snot running down her nose, saying, "I can't f***ing believe it." Jolie Brown would also mention in the book that this bit pissed her off. Brown would elaborate on the incident in 2021 in the New York Post. "They came out on stage and handcuffed me. I freaked out." Producers cut to a commercial and, added Brown, "Somebody came on stage and got me unlocked. I was upset to have gotten into that situation, and they weren't on the show again." I don't think the Dead Milkmen was ever intending to ever come back to Club MTV, but I do wonder if this incident was the beginning of the end for them on the channel. Because by this time, the well would eventually run dry for Punk Rock Girl's video. Billboard last had its music video playing on rotation for the week of April 8th, 1989. This didn't necessarily mean that they weren't done getting videos playing on the channel. They would get another music video playing in 1989 with Smoking Banana Peels. Though it was playing on 120 Minutes for the May 22nd and June 4th installments. But after these appearances, the Dead Milkmen wouldn't have any other music video playing on MTV for the rest of 1989. And sure, the videos were playing on other programs, but if it's not MTV, was anyone really watching? Punk Rock Girl would be their only time they would be on the main rotation. But that's not to say they weren't being played on the channel anymore. But even then, there's a separate issue they had to put up with. In 1990, the Dead Milkmen submitted a music video off their fifth album, Metaphysical Graffiti, for MTV to play, and the channel would have issues with the video. Methodist Coloring Book.
You got a Methodist coloring book and you color really well.
And with a name like that, you can probably guess what it's about. Members of the band would explain that it was so offensive to MTV Standards Board that they needed stuff changed. For example, there was a moment where there are maggots on someone's face. This is apparently a reference to Yes's Owner of a Lonely Heart music video. And honestly, I would not have chalked it up as a reference unless you told me that.
And I suggest everybody go see Yes in the round. And it'll look kind of like this. It's around about.
Another scene was a shadowy man with a dagger. And then there were also the scenes where they explode miniature buildings, including religious ones. MTV refused to play the video without changes, and so the Dead Milkmen decided to play ball and remove the parts MTV were offended by.
The first video is a deranged tale about what most assuredly is the 9th deadly sin, letting your crayon slip outside the lines. Here are the Dead Milkmen with Methodist Coloring Book.
Instead of taking out the explosives, they reversed the film to have the churches be unexploded. They also sped up footage to make things like crucifixes go unnoticed. But on the plus side, you can watch the music video in its original form on the 2003 DVD collection Philadelphia in Love. Pretty neat DVD if you're able to find it. So with these re-edits to the video, it was finally able to play on 120 minutes for both the June 3rd and June 17th installments of the show. All this hubbub, and they only get played twice on 120 minutes in 1 month. Ah well. The album at least cracked the 200 charts, though it only peaked at 164, one slot below Bucky Fellini's peak. You know, thinking about it, I do wonder if MTV just gave up on playing Dead Milkmen to avoid the hassle of screening their content. In one newspaper interview with the Ashbury Park Press, Rodney Anonymous talked about how MTV took a week analyzing Smoking Banana Peels to see if there was any hidden messages in it before putting it on air. Like, you just had to eventually wipe your hands with this stuff. And I do want to mention when Punk Rock Girl made an appearance on Beavis and Butthead in a 1993 episode.
This is horrible. Something's wrong with these guys.
Yeah. It's like they're not trying very hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't take the words of Beavis and Butthead as law, but maybe there was an attitude that the works of the Dead Milkmen were old hat at this time. Who knows?
I bet I can take this guy in a fight.
Yeah.
I just kick his butt.
This is the only guy that's ever been in a video that you could kick his ass.
But that is about it for the Dead Milkmen's run on MTV. Well, at least while they were still an active band. In 1991, the band left Restless Records and signed on to Hollywood Records. An interesting fact is that Hollywood Records was founded and owned by the Walt Disney Company at this time, which is a really strange thing to think about, that a band like the Dead Milkmen were signed onto Disney.
And now, our feature presentation.
The next two albums under the label would be 1992's Soul Rotation and 1993's Not Richard, But Dick. While Soul Rotation hit the Heat Seekers charts at number 16, both these would be commercial disappointments, resulting in the albums being taken out of print rather quickly. In 1994, the Milkmen announced that they would be retiring, citing these struggles in the industry as well as Dave Blood developing tendinitis. 1995 would see their 8th album, Stoney's Extra Stout Pig, be released under Restless label again, and they would all go their separate ways. And the last two times Punk Rock Girl ever got played on the channel in the 90s would be in 1996 and 1998. After the breakup, everybody did their own thing. Then in 2004, Dave Blood was found dead in a friend's house in Westchester County, New York. He had committed suicide by drug overdose. He was 47. The band briefly reformed and performed 2 shows in honor of their great bassist. But this wouldn't be the last time they came back together, as 2008 would be when they officially formed back up, with Dan Stevens becoming their newest Milkman. And they have been around ever since. They've released 3 more albums since their reformation.
Sepsis, he almost died, but he did it all for art.
Their most recent being 2023's Quaker City Quiet Pills. Pretty cool to see them still rocking after all this time. I would honestly say that the Dead Milkmen having a moment in the spotlight was a miracle in some way. Punk Rock Girl getting on 120 minutes was one thing, but to have the music video receive heavy rotation on the channel is something that blows the mind. 3 years away from seeing the likes of Nirvana taking over the channel, it's like watching the setup to how the 90s would become, which is great because Punk Rock Girl is a really enjoyable song and has a music video worth watching. So give the Dead Milkmen a chance and check them out. You might even start to slam dance to their songs. And if that ever happens in the future, let me know. But until then, thanks for your time.
One Saturday I took a walk to Zipperhead. I met a girl there and she almost knocked me dead. Punk Rock Girl, please look at me. What do you see? Let's travel around the world. Just you and me, Punk Rock Girl.